I got into health and nutrition really back in 2005 when I weighed a huge 25 stone. And so decided I needed to lose some weight for myself, and went to the gym, started training, lost a little bit of weight, but then like everybody else I got caught up in a point where I just couldn't seem to lose any more weight. I tried every single diet under the sun. I lost a bit, I put it back on, same as everybody else, and that's when I decided that for my own sake I needed to study nutrition. So I started studying nutrition initially just to look after myself, but as I lost more and more weight and people came up to me and said, how did you do it? I knew at that point that I needed to try and turn what I was doing for myself into a business so that I could help more than just myself, I could help other people as well. 89% of the population are going to die from something called a non-communicative disease. So that's not being run over by a car, that's not a genetic disease. A non-communicative disease is a whole bunch of the cancers, heart disease, diabetes, etc. So that's going to kill 89% of the population, and a fair number of those prematurely, in other words, before we turn 70. All of those non-communicative diseases are lifestyle based. It's what works for you. Some people, if you have breakfast, that stimulates you to continuously eat the rest of the day, in which case having breakfast is maybe not the best thing for you. On the other hand, if you're used to having breakfast and you need to be filled up at the beginning of the day, then that works for you. What I will say though is this all relates to your exercise protocol. If you go into the gym or you go for a run and you're using up energy, then depending on what you're trying to achieve with your weight, it is important then to make sure that you fit your diet and your timing of your food around your exercise. I think as a rule, we don't eat enough vegetables. So, there's nothing wrong with eating more vegetables, but people also need to be careful. Not all vegetables are created equal. If you're trying to lose weight, there's 3 vegetables you should actually look at avoiding: carrots, peas, and corn, because they're very, very high in natural sugars. So I'm not saying that they're unhealthy, but they're not ideal for weight loss. Whereas green leafy vegetables, so your cauliflower, your broccoli, yes, cauliflower is a green vegetable. I know it looks white, but it's a green vegetable. Cauliflower, broccoli, spinach, all of these vegetables, 10 a day might not be enough. You can't eat too much in the way of vegetables. And again, the same thing goes with fruit. Yes, fruit is healthy for you, but fruit is also full of fructose sugar. So if you're trying to lose weight, if that's your goal, then eating too much fruit is not ideal, because you're actually just getting a huge amount of the fructose sugar but be very careful on this one. Eat fruit, don't drink fruit. Fruit contains a natural fiber. So when you eat a whole bit of fruit, a lot of the fructose sugar in the fruit passes through you because of the fiber. When you break that fiber, so you juice the fruit, you turn it into orange juice or whatever it might be, you break that fiber, which means your body completely digests all that fructose, which is really, really not good for you, particularly if you're looking at weight loss. So eat your fruit, don't drink it. All these things that you see on Facebook continuously being thrown away, all these juicing diets, etc. I'm not a believer in those. I really don't believe that that's sustainable, and in very many cases it's not particularly healthy. Yeah, so I'm a big believer in protein. So I believe that you should have a source of protein with every meal. I'm not saying you have to eat meat. If you're vegetarian or vegan, you've got other sources of protein, but be aware that obviously if you're eating vegetarian proteins, you need to eat a very big mix of proteins, because each individual item is not very high in its bioavailability of protein. So protein with every meal is always my good thing. When it comes to carbohydrates, so put back into the vegetables and knock all your green leafy vegetables, as I mentioned earlier. As good sources of carbohydrates, I really, really like quinoa. I think it's a good source of carbohydrates. Sweet potatoes are a good source of carbohydrates. So you want those starches in your diet as well, but you don't want your easily or simple starches which are easily digested, so your high sugars. So those are the kind of foods that I would really recommend. I will also say, and this is important because I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, when I advocate a diet for somebody, I really have this policy where I say there's no such thing as a bad meal, there's just bad habits. So if you want to go out and have a fast food takeaway every now and then, or you want a sweet treat, I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying try and make that 20% of your diet. If you can eat good healthy food 80% of the time, enjoy the other 20%.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.